Chapter 8. When I wake up in the morning and think back on that girl, I wonder if maybe I dreamt her. It doesn't make any sense that a girl from outside could get her way in here. No sense at all. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes my dreams seem so real that it takes a while for me to tell real from dream when I wake up. Like the other day, when I dreamt I had already lined up for my shower, and when I woke, I realised I had to wait in line all over again. But there is her hocked up ball of snot, and there are her fingertip marks still in the dirt. I put my hand on top. They are just about a perfect fit. I curl up next to the prince and close my eyes, letting the earth pull me deep down to its stomach and wrap me tight in all its whisperings. I don't move, not until Queenie kicks me to come have breakfast because the bell has just gone for 7 o'clock and the kitchen's about to shut until lunch. When Harvey comes along the line with his security wand to check us all over, he asks why my face is covered in dirt. I tell him I've been listening for the stories from the earth. I don't tell him about the girl. He was just lying there, like his brain had melted, Queenie adds, and actually, that explains a lot. I can't help smiling, imagining my brain melting into the dirt. I can't think of anything to say back, though. I never can, not until it's too late. But Harvey just scrouches down in the dirt and wipes the red from my face, his beeper wand hanging from his wrist, not even caring at all about the others going back and forth without being checked for security. "It's not silly at all, kid," he says. Even though he's looking at me, I can tell that he's talking more to Queenie. "Do you know that there are 7 different types of dirt? You can tell a whole lot about a place by that dirt under your feet. All about people and animals and the history of a place just by—" Queenie shushes him with her hand, her face bright and open. "7 types, hey?" For a moment Harvey thinks she's interested. "Do any of those types of dirt turn into a sea at night, then?" She twists her mouth into a smile and rolls her eyes. "Pfft," the Shakespeare duck says from my pocket. "What does she know? I bet she doesn't even know that I talk." Harvey and Queenie look at me then, like they can't work out why I'm laughing. Seeing that girl all swooshed up from the dirt last night has somehow turned Beaver into a memory, with only the dried out blood and lump grown up at the back of my head to remind me. So when Eli comes charging up, his eyes hard and dog mad, I can't even figure on what he's saying or why he's angry. Not until he says, "If he touches you again, I'll kill him. You hear me? I'll find a way. When I see him, I'll tell him." But Queenie puts her hand on Eli and tells him to calm down and shush up and just forget about it, will you? What happened? Who did what? Now Harvey is on at me too. I wish they'd all just shut up about it so I can get back to thinking about the girl. Eli looks at Harvey and his eyes are just about spitting. "Beaver, he hit him. Threw him against a wall." Eli grabs me and pushes my head down so that Harvey can see the lump at the back. Bloody Eli is making it hurt more. My eyes are about to water and I can feel my nose start to drip, and I wish they would all just let me be, but Eli, he won't let go. He's pulled me into him now, like it was Harvey that had shoved me instead of Beaver. Who knows what he would have done, or where he would have taken him if Queenie hadn't been watching out, but don't pretend like you care. Harvey turns to Eli with angry twisting his face. I want to tell Eli that Harvey does care, that I know he does, and that I'm fine, but I can't say anything. When I squeeze the duck in my pocket, he gives a little squeak to let me know he understands. Eli sniffs and nods like Harvey knows just what he's on about. Harvey looks me over with his eyes darting all about my face, and then he turns and walks away. Queenie looks at my head. "You'd better clean that cut so it doesn't get infected and put germs all through your blood and make you die." And now all I can think about is germs going all through my blood and making me die. The Shakespeare duck says he reckoned he could see the germs multiplying last night already, but he didn't want to say anything in case I got scared. But what does he know? He's just a stupid duck. Eli pulls me even closer and tilts my head down to look again. "Don't be silly. Germs can't kill you. But maybe we should go get it clean. Has your ma seen it?" And the way Eli is talking is making me think that maybe Queenie wasn't being so stupid after all. Maybe that Shakespeare duck does know what he's talking about. Eli rests his face on my head then and breathes out, long and slow. "I'm sorry, Bud. I didn't know. I would never have let you run if I'd have known." He lets go of me and reaches into his pocket. "Here, I got you something." He pulls out 3 whole muesli bars, still in their wrappers and not even past their use-by. "There are boxes of them," he smiles. "I heard them talking, the jackets. They're sending them all back because of the wrappers." I can't see anything wrong with the wrappers. Eli points to the name of the bars. Freedom bars. I guess they don't want us getting any ideas, hey? Queenie and Eli laugh as we leave the line and head for Eli's tent, because who needs slimy porridge full of grit when we've got muesli bars for breakfast? All the while I'm thinking that I need to get rid of Queenie so I can tell Eli about the girl. But when we get to the tent, we see the jacket. He has a paper in his hands and searching for someone all across his face. Eli looks at me and I can tell that we are both thinking the same thing, that Eli's paper has finally come through. Eli's been waiting a long time for his paper. It used to be that his cousins and uncle were in here with him. Then they found their ma all the way on the other side of the world waiting for them, where it snows all day and all night. Before they left, Eli's uncle promised that Eli would join them. They just had to get through some more paperwork first, that is all. When that jacket calls out Eli's number, Eli's face explodes into a smile, and my chest is bursting with a hurting kind of happiness, thinking of Eli dancing in the snow with his family, and I smile right back. When Eli's cousin left, Eli told him, "Where you're going, you won't last an hour without freezing right up. And then the only thing to save you is hot chocolate so sweet and hot it burns your throat and thaws you out from the inside." And when they said goodbye and walked through the gates, their smiles were so big, the happiness steamed right up out of them and into the sky. It snuck up our noses and ears, and we waved goodbye, and we smiled and called out and breathed in that happiness. And Eli stood behind me and kept his hands on my shoulders and whispered in my ear how, one day, the two of us would be hot chocolate chefs, and world famous ones, so that people would come from all over just to taste what we'd made. And after they had gone so far, we couldn't even make out their shadows driving away. We all of us still smiled, feeling that snow crunching between our toes and the hot chocolate burning in our throats. But Eli isn't going to the snow. "Get your stuff," the jacket said. "You're moving to Alpha." It's Queenie who talks first. "But that's for the single men." The jacket sniffs and doesn't even look like he's heard. Eli and Queenie and me, we all just look at each other because none of it makes sense. I said, "Get your stuff. You're too old to be in family. Now move it, boy." This time Queenie steps so she's right in front of the jacket. "Eli isn't no man. He's still a good 5 years off going to Alpha, and you know it." I pull on Queenie, trying to get her to step back, because it's no use the both of us getting shoved twice in 2 days, but the jacket just slaps his paper on Queenie's cheek. "That's not what his paper says. He was meant to move last week, and writing doesn't lie." But I can tell that even the jacket knows that the paper is lying better than anyone. Eli shrugs. All three of us are thinking the same thing. Thinking about the other boy, the one who was only 9, but his paper said he was 19. Everyone could see as clear as day there was no way this kid was 19, but those jackets still went and put him over in Alpha. "It's there in black and white on the paper," they said. And something happens to those men when they live all together like that, without their families, without being able to work or learn or do anything, having to listen to the jackets and their jangling keys all the time. It changes a person, Eli said. Some of those men can be real mean to a kid when they want to be. I can see all that working its way through Eli's brain, just the same way it's working its way through mine, because both of us saw what happened to that boy when he'd eventually been let into family. By then it was too late is all. After he tried to bleed himself on that fence, they moved him to Ford, his brain so mushed that he wasn't even really there. Writing does lie. It lies all the time. Eli shrugs at me again and smiles, trying his best not to show he's scared, even though I can see from the shake in his hands that he isn't sure it will be okay, no matter what his shoulders shrug. "They should really just let us kids run things, hey Suppy," he grins. "More brains." He taps his head with his finger, right up close to the jacket's face when he says it, so there is no confusing what he means by it. "There would at least be more ice cream," I say. I laugh, trying to get the jacket to think Eli is just having fun, so he'll let go of his fistful of Eli's shirt and walk away with no more bother. "And lamb." Now the jacket is looking at me, so I keep talking. "I've only ever had lamb once, and even though I felt kind of bad eating an animal that was still only a baby itself, it tasted just perfect. Do you remember, Eli? Do you remember, Queenie, when we had lamb? Do you remember?" I'm asking the jacket even though I know for sure he wasn't here that time we had lamb. The jacket shakes his head and lets go of Eli, cuffing him hard across the ear so that Eli loses his balance and ends up on the dirt. "You've got 5 minutes to get your crap together. There better not be any more trouble." The jacket looks at all three of us now, his finger pointing. Eli just grins right up at that jacket like he's telling the best joke Eli's ever heard. "Because if there is so much as a pip out of you, BER 18, I'll be moving you to Beta instead. You got that?" Beat her. Where they lock you up and don't let you out. Beat her. Where you don't have anyone to look out for you at all. I tell the jacket, yes, sir, we've got that, sir, and will be no trouble at all, Mr. Sir. Eli stands up and smiles his big smile at the jacket, and when the jacket turns around to go, Eli blows him a kiss. I wish Eli wouldn't do stuff like that. It makes me want to vomit every time. But the jacket doesn't hear, and if he does, he keeps walking, and my heart goes back to beating quietly instead of thundering in my ears. I turn to Eli. If us kids round the world, there would be ice cream every day, and roast lamb with mint sauce, and potatoes once a month, and so much water that we could all drink until our stomachs were just about to burst. And grilled fish with vegetables pulled straight from the ground, Queenie adds. And hot chocolate rain falling from the sky. Eli looks up to the sky to check it hasn't already started to fall. He sticks his tongue out of his mouth and closes his eyes. I reckon I can taste it already, he says. Then he breathes in all the smells from the camp, long and deep through his nose, the rubbish rotting in the line of bins just the other side of the fence, the pipe from the toilet leaking into the dirt, some vomit where someone couldn't handle whatever breakfast was, and Eli's imagining crumples into the dirt. The rain needs some work, he says, and we all laugh. When Eli says that they'll see their mistake soon enough, we start laughing again, and Eli chokes on his own spit, but none of us really thinks it's that funny. Just when that jacket is coming back into the tent to take Eli, I reach into my pocket and give him one of the oldest of my treasures. It's the rock, all the way from space. Harvey taught me all about space and rocks. He said that black and the bubbles in the rock show that it's from a shooting star, come all the way down to Earth. I give it to Eli so he can make a wish on it. I don't tell him that I already tried a wish, but it didn't work because my bar is still out there, and we're still in here. I figure that maybe shooting star wishes only work for certain people, and Eli, he's the kind of person a shooting star wish would work for. It's not until that night that I realise I never got to tell Eli about the girl. I tried to draw a picture of the girl on the other side of the paper from the night sea with creatures, but the girl looks all whispery and not quite there on the page. I tried to stop thinking about Eli not being in family with me because that blots the picture and makes it worse. Someday we'll be together again. Just not today is all. Even though I can't draw her right, I can see the girl in my head. There is something in her that makes me feel like I've met her before. As I'm falling asleep, I wonder if maybe my bar has sent the girl. If he has, I wish he would stop being so damn confusing and just sent his own goddamn self. It can't be that bloody hard. I keep on thinking of the girl and my bar sending me his treasures until my brain stops and drifts me to sleep. I keep thinking on it so I don't have to think about Eli.